let's jump into this shit. We got a packed episode, really. If we're talking, we didn't really discuss all the things we're going to talk about, but the things that have been thrown back and forth, I'm like, there's quite a bit to talk about.
There's quite a bit. I'm gonna bring an album into the discussion that you don't even know about yet.
Sweet. I'm okay with that.
Sweet, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it's been 4 days. Right, so it's really weird. I genuinely feel all excited. Not that I don't normally, right? Sorry, man. I don't normally, but I'm genuinely excited.
I'm gonna feed off this because it's actually motivating me.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, look, I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. Well, we should intro for those who
shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Yeah, for people who are used to the shambolic intro, this is yet another one. This is another shambolic episode of Old Bollocks with me, your co-host, Howard H. Smith, and Old Head.
Hello. I get to be the host. I love that. That's great.
Well, you're a co-host, aren't you? I mean, we co-host the podcast. We co-host the fucking Zoom call, dude. I mean, you know what I mean? Jesus, what? So... yes. Welcome back to the next episode, whatever fucking number it is. Is it 4? Have we done 4 of these now?
I think this might be number 4. Yeah.
This might be number 4. Okay, so there you go. Ha! Fuck you people who said we'd never get past 2 episodes. Congrats by the way on your vids this week. I like some impressive numbers there, man, honestly.
Yeah, we'll get to talking about that particular group in a bit, but that video did kind of blow up, but I can never tell when that's going to happen, because sometimes I'll talk about a specific thing and I'll be like, this is surely going to get a whole lot of views, and then it's like 400, and I'm like, all right,
dude, welcome to the world, all of you people listening and watching in online marketing. Yeah, we all know it's a sham. Yeah, we all know you haven't got a fucking clue what is going to land and what isn't. You are throwing bread upon the pond. That is all you are doing. It's like I was in a meeting of a company a few years back with some directors, and it was a struggling digital company, and I was part of the team that was coming in to have a look at it and see if it could be saved, which sounds a lot grander than it is, but there was people who wanted to see if it was worth saving. And in the meeting, they were going through the financials of the previous month, and the current FD of this digital business, right, that purely produced digital content and put it online. The current FD, when looking at that month's figures, said these 2 videos did really, really well. And head of content said, well, that's because they went viral. And the FD replied, so why don't we just do viral videos then? And at that point, everybody in the room knew why they were in fucking trouble.
Yeah. All you got to do is put hashtag viral in your video, and then there it goes. Boom. You're off.
Exactly. It's done. Anyway, sorry. That was a completely needless interlude. Let's cut that out.
That's all right. It kind of relates to what we're doing, because these are videos that I wish got a lot more traction than they do when they go out.
True. Look, dude, been there.
Yeah. But you know what? Maybe today, because we're talking about a couple pretty high profile, although we talked about Maiden before. That one was pretty high profile, but I'm going to go ahead.
But everybody slagged that off.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and just jump into the big one that you and I are both going to talk about. Let's talk about the new Mastodon.
Right.
Hushed and Grim, which I got my vinyl right here that I got. My deluxe, which I've learned is not deluxe. It's just a limited edition that has a booklet in it, but whatever. Because of the way that it's described on their website, I thought it was going to have like a come in like a box with like some fancy foil on it or some shit. But no, it's just a vinyl.
Well, if they were Kiss, one of the members, preferably no doubt the bass player, would have come around and dropped it off to you.
I'd be okay with that. Even the bass player of Mastodon as well. He can come over and drop things off.
I bumped into him. True story. I bumped into him at a Descendants gig the day the new low came out.
Oh wow!
And he was, and I was like, "Hey, dude." He was like, "Hey, how are you?" I was like, "I'm good. How's it? It's been ages." And he was like, "Yeah, I know, man. New single came out today." I was like, "Yeah, it's fucking great." None of that happened. He doesn't know who I am.
I would have believed that though.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that went, really? That would, I mean, I guess I could see that. He seems like a cool dude. Anyway, cool dudeness aside, let's talk about Hushed and Grim.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like I come at this album from two different angles because I'm a huge Mastodon fan. So from that angle,
me too.
I look at this album and I go, this is great. It's an hour and a half of new Mastodon material. And to me, there's not a bad song on this album. Now, are they all great songs? No. That's where I think it starts to my problems start to happen, because my very first listen of this album, all the way through, I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool too. It wasn't until I listened to it another couple of times that I realized that some of these songs have a staying power of every time I hear them, I go, that's fucking great. And then other ones sound a bit too Mastodon-y, like stuff that they've kind of already done before. But that being said, like I like the entire album, but my big gripe at the end of the day that keeps me from calling it like a masterpiece. People have been saying it's a masterpiece. But it's a double album, and they're touting it as like the first proper double album that Mastodon has done. So that thing, you know, all that fanfare. And I go, well, at the end of the day, it's just a long album. So I'm like, I was hoping for something like, oh, one side of the vinyl is one entire song, like they did an 18-minute epic, or there's a musical theme that keeps repeating in various times in the album that ties it together. Some sort of big epic quality that you would put with the idea of a double album. But at the end of the day, it's literally just a long Mastodon album, which for me as a fan is great because I love what they do. And I think that in some ways they're progressing what they do, but in other ways, the last like 3 albums, they've kind of waded around in this same sort of area, occasionally kind of pulling things that are a little bit different, but nothing that makes me go, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. It's just all the same sort of thing that I've thought about Mastodon since I first heard Leviathan back in 2004 or whatever. They're still a band that a song will come on and there'll be a riff and I go, oh, that's nice. And I still get all that out of this album. So I really like it. I just kind of wish that the whole double album aspect of it was a little more exciting. But I do like it. What did you think about it?
Okay, well, for listeners and viewers, I want you to realize that is as close as you're ever going to get to old head reviewing something badly. Okay, that's as close to a bad review.
I was pretty harsh about Maiden. Okay.
Fair point. I'll take that back. Okay. So, as a Mastodon fan, I think the album title is absolutely fucking spot on.
Yeah.
Because it is hushed. By the end of it, I am feeling grim and I'm struggling like fuck to ever listen to it again. I've listened to it 2 times all the way through. Uh-huh. Now, normally, first time I listen to Mastodon, it's okay, right? Well, hello, ooh, that blew up my skirt. Yeah, lovely, great, okay. First time I listened to it, that happened twice, and I was like, okay, that's a problem there. Mm-hmm. And then I listened to it again, and something you said really rang a bell with me, which was like when you were talking about Mastodon-y, and it was like, why am I in this song, hearing this part and thinking, was this in an earlier song? Is this a reprise of something that's been in another song? Or is this album so fucking samey because that I just can't tell the difference between songs? There's literally like, oh, that, and also there's a lot of this album is, oh, that's a gorgeous bit. Can lose the song, just keep that bit.
Yeah.
And it's 15 songs and it's Mastodon diluted over a double album. You pour all of this into a single album, and I'm sorry, it's potentially their greatest ever work. Spread across two, it's a little light on its feet. And memorable stuff. There's memorable stuff. There's no memorable songs for me. And there are just times where I am just kind of like, it feels like Mastodon with a handbrake on, it's like, it feels like someone's holding them back. And my other kind of, not issue with it, but it's not helping, is the production. Now,
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. Now, where it's not helping for me is, it's not great. I mean, you can hear everything, but it's even more jangly than Mastodon is normally, and that's the only word. It's a technical word. We use it in the music business all the time in studios. Jangly, but it is. It's metallic.
It seems very treble heavy too. Treble heavy. That's where I was coming from with metallic, and I couldn't think of a better word for it. And you nailed it. Yeah. Trebly, and also. The other thing I don't like is I really do feel like somebody got a broomstick and just went, right, that's your guitar sound, that's your guitar sound, that's your bass sound, that's your drum sound for the album, for every single song. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That is it. There are and to that end, it means it lacks dynamics for me as well.
But you could say the same thing about, because honestly, like I was referring to their last two albums prior to this. All of those albums are albums where if a song is coming up in shuffle, I sometimes forget which album it was on.
Right.
And it's because that they do sonically, everything is pretty similar to where one song could easily go on a different album. And I feel like this one, as time goes on, that's what's going to happen with it, is I'll hear a song off Hushed and Grim and go, was that on Once More Around the Sun? I don't remember,
Yeah.
But I mean, not that it's bad. Like I said, I like the album more than you, obviously, but I do have to give it some time because what was the last one? Emperor of Sand. I liked it at first, but the more that I listened to it, like a year down the line, I actually liked it more. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if maybe this one will be one of those that takes a little bit of time, but I do know that it was a little bit underwhelming for me. But that's as close as you're going to get, listeners, to old head saying it's shit. It's clearly it's not shit. I'm a fan of Mastodon. I'm a fan of all of their work. And by the way, maybe this is something we should do. Maybe we should do review part 2 in 6 months. That's not a bad idea, especially for albums that maybe we didn't connect with right away. That might, we'll throw Maiden into the batch and see if that changes at all.
I have no intention of listening to it over the next 6 months, so I can tell you my opinion now if you want.
Yeah. The one thing I did notice though about this album is that the more I listened to it, the more I realized that the last few songs on the album are some of the strongest. Because I find myself getting a little bit tired in the middle, but then all of a sudden things happen in the last few songs that I go, oh, I really like this. So that's interesting because it's usually the other way around, where they blow all their great material in the beginning, and then by the time you're at the end, you're just like, how much more time we got?
But that also makes me question whether that was part of the track listing. And if that's part of the track listing, then that's an acknowledgement, a tacit acknowledgement at best, that the band know that they're the stronger songs and people are going to be struggling towards the end. So let's give them some light at the end of the tunnel, instead of saying, stop fucking digging. Yeah. If you're in a hole, stop digging. That's always great advice. So I rang a dude when my laptop was all fucked, and he's my IT guy, and I rang him up. I said, look, I've done this, I've tried this. Is there anything else that I can do? And he just went, well, all that springs to mind is that phrase, if you're in a hole, stop digging. And I was like, oh, right, am I making things worse? And he was like, Probably. So yeah, it's. I mean, yeah. I'd be up for any reviews. I think one thing that annoys me about reviews online is like it's that Denzel Washington thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter if it's right, doesn't matter if it's wrong. Just only thing that matters is being first. Doesn't matter if it's true. You've just got to be first, and that's the way you see album reviews go up online as well. It's like people cannot get the review out quick enough because they want to be first.
It's literally because of that conversation we were having earlier, because you don't get the hits online if you don't put your shit out right away.
But if you put it out 6 months down the line and actually have a really cogent, well thought out review where months of listening have gone into, you're going to get a much better review. But of course, you'll have probably made your own mind up on that album by that time.
Yeah.
I can't help but feeling the second time I listened to the Mastodon album, right? And and I mean, I've been sat in the house, I was just listening to it. And I had this little wave of sadness that it's going to be another 3 or 4 years before I get a new Mastodon album that I might like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like this is what it is, isn't it? It's like, this isn't. The weird thing is, first time I listened to it, I thought, maybe it's thrown me. Second time I listened to it, I was like, it's this.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And the one thing I kept thinking the whole time, especially thinking about the length of the album, I'm like, I wanted this to be a Crack the Sky. And it's just a double length
Mastodon album,
Emperor of Sand,
right,
or something like that. So it's,
now I get you.
Yeah, because my favorite Mastodon album is Leviathan, which is very metal, but my second favorite is Crack the Sky, where they just went, fuck it, we're being proggy, and every second of that album is beautiful to me. Crack
the Sky is the album that cracked Mastodon for me. Yeah. And then I got Leviathan, couldn't get into it, not interested. And then I got into Crack the Sky and then went backwards and was like, why didn't I like this? I'm a dick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like they still have something that good in them. I just feel like maybe they're in kind of a rut right now, and nobody is forcing them to step out of their comfort zone. So, we get an album that as fans will enjoy aspects of it, but we'll wish that it was more, I guess,
But I get where you're coming from now when you're saying about, like, you wish that it was pinned on something. In other words, I think what the subtext of what you're saying is, I wish they had a good fucking reason. Yeah, sure. Because otherwise it's like, why have you done 2 albums instead of 1?
I mean, yeah, I wonder if I would feel different if they put out 2 shorter albums a year apart. Like, what would that have been like? Maybe that would have, I don't know, but at this point it's out, and I'm sure some of it will grow on me. But I have a feeling it's going to become one of those albums that's relegated to shuffle. The songs will come up in shuffle and I'll go, oh, that's pretty cool. But I doubt I will often go back and listen to 90 minutes.
Yes. I've got a quiz question for you. Name all of the double albums you love.
Double albums. Okay.
I mean, you haven't even.
How much time do we have?
you haven't even got Book of Souls. At least I've got Book of Souls.
No, Book of Souls also is a little bloated to me. But
fair enough. But that's my point.
Yeah,
that is my point. Hardwired is what you were supposed to say.
Oh, I don't even consider that a double album. I literally said the same thing about Hardwired that I said about Hushed and Grim, that it's just a long Metallica album.
Yes. Yeah.
But once again, I'm a fan, and so I love it. But I wanted that album to be as good as Death Magnetic, because I love Death Magnetic. And so it's just, as a fan, you're faced with those moments of honesty. Like, do I really love this this album because I love this band, or is this album actually really good? And
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, as well, I guess I was going to say like, fuck double albums, because it's really hard to make a good one, as can be witnessed by the fact we can't think of any. I mean, obviously, Pink Floyd, The Wall. That's the.
I was going to say, if I was when I was in my 20s, I would have said The Wall.
Well, there's some original animation art from The Wall.
Oh man,
hanging on my wall.
Hell yeah.
I've got an email from Gerald Scarf as well, which I'll tell you about later.
Cool. Well, do you want to move on
well, what I was going to say was that I was going to say like fuck double albums and all that, but then I kind of thought, well, do you know what you end up doing, what every fan ends up doing, is making an album out of the double album, and everybody's album is different. Because I was gonna do the usual, big mouth me thing. Bands, listen, don't fucking bother. Don't make a double album. Because you know what? When you put your double album out, we all turn it into a single album. And the response to that is, well, that's cool, because all those single albums are different. And some people think that song's amazing, and some people think that song's amazing. And everybody and it's like, okay, fine. But you know what? I've never liked multiple choice. I don't like too many things on the menu. Just give me the meat and the veg, okay?
Yeah.
Because this like snazzy dessert 5-course that you've gone with is just not me, really.
That's it. I mean, I was going to say that way of thinking of making your own single album out of it. That's a more modern way to look at it, with the way that a lot of people digest music. But I still want to digest music as an album.
And so I'm greedy. I'm greedy because I want every song to be good. I don't want to have to make a single album out of a double album, because I can't leave a song off it, because every song is fucking amazing. It's brilliant. Guys, I see why you did a double album, but I am yet to hear the double album that makes me go, oh, guys, I see why you did this. Stadium Arcadium, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Fucking terrible. A band of the peak of their powers. Double album. I mean, that can take anyone down.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned Pink Floyd, The Wall. I'm pretty sure Pink Floyd, The Wall is half the length of Hushed and Grim, and it's a double album.
It's a bit longer than that. Anyway, I think we should move on, because I mean, if we haven't talked about Mastodon enough, well, we have, haven't we?
Do you want to throw one out there? Or you want me to move on to one of my other ones?
I'm gonna move on to one that's both of us have got, that both of us were excited about.
Okay.
And so I'm going to lead on this one, because I always know that our opinions are going to be somewhat the same and somewhat different. So over a decade in the making, we get the first album from Limp Bizkit. Fred has finally committed some vocals down that he's happy with. He stopped going back and deleting them. And then, he's finally let us hear it. And 34 minutes work, 10 years. Why'd you fucking bother?
Hey, at least it's shorter than the Mastodon album. There you go. They went the other way.
They did. But for me, they don't recapture past glories anywhere on a single song. The Fred rapping with the guy and slagging off Limp Bizkit, it's like slapstick. It's like, here's a big old piece of wood, and I'm going to turn around and it's going to hit that guy in the face. It's like, Fred, we've heard all this before. This would have been ironic 10 years ago. Now it's just a bit late. And whilst there's moments, usually down to Wes Borland, where there's moments that make you go, oh God, yeah. It just reminds you of what you're missing. Dad Vibe sums it up, really. It's a bit of them dad vibes. The music, if the music has been done for as long as I think it's been done, I mean,
that's got to be at least just half of what they've done, because Wes Borland was saying that they had over 20 songs that he was perfectly happy with. So this is half of what they had for whatever reason. But you want to hand over to me yet?
Well, no. So look, I again, I sound like, why do I keep sounding like Woody Allen? I don't know. Yes. Is that my daughter or my wife? I can't tell.
Yeah. I'm glad you made. I was like, should I make the joke or is he gonna?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ain't no joke, motherfucker. Although you're in Texas, probably legal there.
Not that I know of, but I think having sex with animals is legal over here, though.
Well, there you go, folks. The Texas Tourist Board has now opened,
but oral sex illegal.
Ah, right, okay. Well, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, just so if you ever come over here, animals are fair game, but if you want to go downstairs on a lady, nah, none of that.
Right, okay, fine, no problem. That's as big a tangent as I can imagine. Okay, dude, look, you. I hope you like it more than me because I'm disappointed.
I do. I like it more than you. It's top heavy in my opinion. It starts off really strong, but I feel like I wasn't expecting anything to be new or groundbreaking or even deep at all. That's not what I was expecting. I was expecting to have a good time.
Same here.
And honestly, the majority of the album, I do have a good time. And the things that I didn't like very much the first time, I've liked more the more I've listened to it. I've listened to this album several times because just driving to go pick up my daughter from school and cranking this album up, it sounds good in a car.
Oh yeah. Oh, sonically it's gorgeous.
Yeah. And so at the end of the day, I'm a Limp Bizkit fan, so it's nice to hear them come back. And I like the fact that they touched on these different areas that they've done throughout their career, because I think if I remember right, the last the last Limp Bizkit album.
Yeah, let's go back to Mastodon. We didn't spend long enough on that.
The last Limp Bizkit album, I don't think he did any screaming on it, and now he's coming back and adding some screams. But I'm also very glad that he didn't shy away from doing the rapping, because he's not the best rapper in the world, but I like his style because it's kind of goofy and fun at the same time. So it's not an album that I can take very seriously, but I think the thing that clicked with me about it was it almost feels like a celebration of who they are as a band, what the world thinks of them as a band, and at the same time, the music that inspired them to become the band that they are. Because if you listen to the album, there's stuff that just sounds like Limp Bizkit songs. Then you have a song that kind of sounds like a 90s alternative rock song. Then you have a song that has a little bit of an industrial part in it. Then you have a song at the end that sounds like it could be a 90s pop song that, and then thrown in there is an XS cover, which is one of those things where I go, all right, I love that song. So, okay, they can cover that song. But so at the end, it just feels like this sort of thing, like having a good time and enjoying the shit that they enjoy. Would you like to come along with us for 34 minutes or whatever? And my answer is, yeah, I'll come along with you for 34 minutes. And honestly, I'm hoping that they do what we were talking about Mastodon doing. I'm hoping a year from now we get another 30-minute album, it's easily digestible. Do you want to have some fun for 30 minutes? Boom. That's it. Do you need to think about this album after it's over? You don't. You're just supposed to enjoy it in the moment and then move on with your life. And I feel like in a lot of ways, that's what's missing. A lot of people overthink things way too much, and like Mastodon, maybe, and then Limp Bizkit didn't. They didn't stray too far away from anything. And
hang on. This album's been kicking around a long time and has been recorded over many years.
That doesn't mean it's been
overthought. I mean, he's recorded the vocals for this 3 or 4 times.
I'm pretty sure. I feel like the actual composition and recording of the songs was probably pretty quick. And then they sat somewhere for a while.
Dude, if you want to make statements that you have absolutely no proof for, to add weight to your argument, you are more than welcome.
I did say I'm pretty sure, but
yeah. Oh well, there you go then. So I agree with everything you said. Said. Apart from, do you want to come along? No, you're all right, thanks. You've got a flat tire. you're going to get pulled over.
So
that's not fun.
But the one thing that I do like that's come out of this recently is the fact that it seems like people are coming back around to Limp Bizkit, which is great.
History is being rewritten. For some people, history is being rewritten. For me, people are seeing it through clearer lenses than they did at the time, because at the time it was just like, oh, fucking Fred Durst, Red Cap, Eminem, pop music, #1 single. Oh, fucking hell. Are you metal? No, you had #1 single. Everybody hate them. Everyone hate them. I mean, the poster boys for the riots at Woodstock, you name it. I mean, that band has been blamed for everything apart from COVID, basically. and I never got it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Saw them before they had a record deal supporting Korn at Brixton Academy. Now, I bought $3 Bill Y'all when it came out. I bought a Significant Other the day it came out. I bought Hot Dog, yada yada yada, wank 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 the day it came out, and I never had a problem with Limp Bizkit. It's like, do you know what? They just get me up, make me move. I went to see him about 7-8 years ago. Took a mate of mine. He was like, "Are they still going?" I was like, "Look, just come along, all right." Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, cool. So we went along, right? And Wes Borland stood on stage after about an hour. He's just stood on stage and he's just playing the old and he's just, oh dear, I shouldn't have done that.
That's why you don't do death metal vocals, huh?
Yeah. Believe you me, that is not how death metal vocals are done.
I'm aware, but still.
But he's just he's just going like and he's just doing it for about what seemed like about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and the crowd were getting excited and then dying down and wondering what was happening. Was he stalling or? And you know what it's like being in a crowd, and it's like, everyone thinks this and then everyone thinks that, and it's like, and then everyone realizes that he's just absolutely milking it, and so the place just starts going fucking insane, and eventually Fred just comes to the front of the stage and goes, "It's just one of those days," and the place just goes fucking nuts. And just a great band at their peak when they're doing what they do well. And, they don't just do what you think they do. So, they, Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water, there is some like Boiler. Check the video out. That's a head fuck. There's some depth in there. There's some deep cuts.
Yeah, agreed.
I even like Results May Vary. I hung in there. I'm not as big of a fan, but yeah. I hung in there. I've bought everything as it's come out, including that god-awful Rage Against the Machine tribute bullshit. That was
unquestionable truth. Yeah.
Unquestionable bollocks. Yeah, it's terrible. I said, like, no songs, no production, just noise. Anyway, I would have loved to have liked this. I would have loved to have felt like I was being invited to a party, but I didn't. I just felt like some tosser came round and I just went, "Nah, you're all right, thanks, mate," and shut the door in his face.
Cool.
Yeah, nothing on it really that made me go, "Yeah, that's cool."
Yeah,
maybe the occasional riff, but other than that,
it's not completely the album I wanted it to be, but half of it is. And so there you go. It's
I'd love for it to be calling out my name to play. I mean, I've had nothing else to do, so that would have been really nice. And even with nothing else to do, listening to the new Limp Bizkit album is just not tickling me ivories.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Well, there you go, Limp Bizkit. Where do we go from there?
Limp Bizkit, we have put them in the bin. Well, I have the Limp Bin kit, doesn't matter. I've got 2 albums that I think in fact, I think I've got 3 albums that you may not be on board with or even be listening or interested in. So
okay.
I'm going to volunteer A View from the Top of the World by Dream Theater.
Mm-hmm.
It is their latest opus. What can I tell you about it, folks? If you're a fan of Dream Theater, you'll probably like it. If you're not a fan of Dream Theater, you probably won't. That's kind of it. I know that's a really like lame thing to say, and I'm supposed to be like, reviewing the album. But in all seriousness, it's like it's more of the same. I've listened to it twice. Again, it's a massive album. There's so much in there. But at least there's some real. There's at least 2 songs in it where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to going back to that. And I haven't got that from Limp Bizkit, and I haven't got that from Mastodon. And Dream Theater are still hanging in there all these years with me, of being a band that when a new album comes out, I'm almost, compelled to give it a listen, no matter what. And I really liked Distance Over Time, the last album that ended up in my albums of the year. I don't think this will end up in my albums of the year, but do you know what? It might do, because there's so much hiding beneath the surface that I haven't even got a chance to listen to yet. So that's a nice little short one.
Cool. I couldn't make it through this album. Are you ready? Are you ready for the gloves to come off?
Oh wow! Do it.
So I made it through half of the album, and then I listened to a few minutes of the remaining few tracks, because it is so generic prog metal that it really bums me out, because all I kept thinking was they are referred to as prog, which means progressive, which means moving outside of the norm of the borders of whatever it is that you're particularly known for doing. But Dream Theater, and it's not just Dream Theater, it's prog metal in general.
Oh, here we go.
Has now become this thing where prog no longer means progressive, because now there's a set of a dozen rules, and you follow these particular things when you're creating your prog, and no one strays outside of that formula anymore. Do you have an odd time signature? Is your song 8 minutes or longer? Is it about something sci-fi or fantasy related or whatever? It does it have these particular discordant kind of things that pop up here and there? Check all of these little check boxes.
Do you play one riff for 4 minutes straight?
That too. That you could throw that into doom metal as well. But it's like, but it's so. I hear you. So at the end of the day, if I want to look at this as these dudes are insanely talented, then fuck yeah, because they clearly are. All of them, very talented dudes, great band. I'm sure I'd probably enjoy the fuck out of them live, but in an album setting, I just went like, this sounds like a dozen other prog metal albums I've heard in the last few years.
Okay, all right. Well, look, I mean, do you know what? I can't really, I can't pick holes in that, and I can't, because I think part of me thinks, well, they did create the genre, so. Yeah, I kind of like, we created this, off you all go and do what you want. But we created this. So we've opened the door, and if you want to go and explore, that's fine, but this is what we do. Okay. And also
that's a good way to look at it, I guess. Yeah.
But one thing that I would say is, and I think I've said this before, talk to me after you've listened to the album Train of Thought. Okay. Because that is the album that most Dream Theater fans don't like. And for me, it's the best album they've ever done.
And why don't they like that one? What's different about it?
Too heavy.
Oh, okay. That doesn't sound like a bad thing.
Well, I've got to admit, I quite like it. But yeah, I absolutely get it. And do you know what? When you were saying it, I was thinking, well, James Labrie, let's be honest, it's like if you ever heard a faceless voice, It's that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when you hear that voice, you think, I honestly can't imagine the face of this guy singing, because it could be anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get your point that they were the kind of the beginning of what proper prog metal is. But I kind of just, I say this about every band. Like I said it about Iron Maiden, that I just wish that, you have the power at your hands to really wow people. Yeah. But and I'm not saying they had to do that all the time, but just coming at things from different angles. I just expect prog music that's called prog. I expect it to hit me with some abrupt left turns and shit like that. Like the thing that always comes to mind, and I know they're not in the same kind of music as Dream Theater, is the Atheist album Elements. Is like one of my favorite albums of all time. And to me, there are parts in that album that's what I expect prog to do. It's a death metal part. Now it's the samba part. And I go, that shouldn't work. But the more I listen to it, I go, it's exactly how it needed to go. It just makes so much sense that they are a band that just went, fuck it. We're progressive. We do whatever the fuck we want. And I mean, I know that doesn't always work all the time, but there are great examples of bands truly being proggy, and then other bands that are just in that template of proggy.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to go back to Your Honor. I'd like to go back to a point I'm going to go back to a point I made earlier, if the court would stick with me.
We'll allow it.
Thank you very much. The point I made about them, starting it, et cetera, and I absolutely hear you. I absolutely hear you. And do you know what? Everything you just said there about, taking people on a journey, wowing people, all the rest of it. Yeah. Images and Words, 1993, 1991, 92, something like that. Around there. Yeah. Images did all of that, because they were doing something that no one else was doing. And it was like, wow. And you listen to Images and Words now, and there's parts of it that have dated, especially keyboard sounds, which date terribly. But, more fool you having a keyboard player in your band, if you ask me. So that doesn't sound great. But some of it you could listen to now, and you would say, and it could be the new album, and you'd be like, and I guess that's where I'm coming from, which is like, okay, I hear you. But when they started doing this, nobody else did it. No one did anything like it. And they're still doing what they were doing back then. Now, I know what you're saying. It's like, okay, but like progress. Well, I don't, because they're so good and they've been so good so long, it's kind of hard to see where they would have ever gone. Because there's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of headroom in that genre. It's like, what do we do? Do we just put album length songs out? Do we try and do a Rain in Blood? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you can't reinvent that wheel, because you just fucking invented the wheel. You can't reinvent it again. And this is I'm kind of ashamed of myself for putting such a stout defense in front of your argument, because I agree with your argument. I'm just saying that there's another side to it that's maybe a reason that explains why you're disappointed.
Well, yeah, and on the same token, all of the things that I said about the Dream Theater album, somebody else who isn't a fan could say that about the Mastodon album, that they didn't try anything new. And so if you're a Dream Theater fan, that's why I hear this and I go, well, if you're already a fan of these guys and they put out another quality album like this, then why would you be upset with it at all? So it makes sense. But I think I referred to it in our last episode where I was talking about how when it comes to prog music, there's a small amount of it that connects with me. And then the rest of it, I appreciate it for what it is, but it's not music that I ever seek out. And Dream Theater is just one of those bands. Because if I hear a random Dream Theater song, I'm usually like, damn, that's fucking good. But I don't go, let me hear that full album. I'm all like, nah.
Do you know what? I bet the last time you heard a Dream Theater song and went, damn, that's good, was one that I played on Radio Bollocks a few months ago. a few months ago, and it was Take Me As I Am, and it's the opening track of Train of Thought.
Okay.
And I put it this way, I played it to a good friend of ours, Mr. Paul Chanter, and I played it to him, and as soon as the vocal it was playing, and he was like, "Who is this?" And I was like, "Why?" And he went, "Because it's really fucking good. That's why." I was like, "Okay, it's Dream Theater." And he was like, "Is it?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Fucking hell. Wow. You better not play me any more of this. I might end up liking it." And then the vocals came in and he went, "Oh, no worry of that." But it's Train of Thought. Anyway.
It's also a nice little plug for Howard's Patreon. If you want to hear Radio Bollocks.
Yeah, sign up at Patreon. Patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. There will be a link in the description. Whatever device you're on, just look for the link, click it, and come and join the party that Stephen and I are throwing, although he didn't turn up on Friday. But that's because he thought I hadn't invited him.
That's true. I'm used to people forgetting to invite me to things, so you know.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. Are we about to have a hands across the sea group hug moment?
No, that's all right. That's all right. I just got off of talking shit about Dream Theater. Let me ride this high for a little bit of like.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Right. So, well, there's one more album that I'm going to talk about, and there's another album that I haven't mentioned. Is there anything else is there anything you want to bring? Anything you want to bring into the fold at this point?
I'm gonna do my last one, and I'm gonna be real brief because I don't know if this is anybody that's even on your radar, but and I'm gonna do a quick review of the new solo album from Mr. dUg Pinnick from King's X. This just came out. It's called Joy Bomb, and the only review I can give it is that if you're a fan of King's X and dUg Pinnick, you will probably enjoy most of this album. Because that is the least convincing sales pitch I've ever heard. Because he does because there's a certain style that he writes songs in, and then the guitar player for King's X, when he does stuff on his own, you hear that sound kind of carried over. And I just I like hearing dUg Pinnick sing. I like his style of songwriting. Yeah. Fascinating guy. Some of the album gets it's a little too simplistic for me. I wish that he had given the songs a little bit more, a few more passes with lyrics and other things. But it's a really enjoyable album, and King's X is one of my favorite bands. And so I'm glad that, as a fucking 72-year-old man, he's still putting out these albums where I'm pretty sure he plays everything on it except the drums and writes all the songs. And so the fact that he's still got that shit going, it's cool to hear. And so I just got to give him a little bit of love because he's great, and the album is enjoyable to me. Well, and on that note, if you're listening or watching this and you're thinking, dUg Pinnick, King's X, whatever, skip this bit. My advice is really go and listen to the album Dog Man and tell me that ain't kicking your fucking head in. That is one of those albums that should have been way bigger than it came out and made barely a splash over here. And it came out and blew my fucking mind. Yeah. It's great. And it's not even I like all King's X albums, but just the progression from their first album up until Dog Man, because Dog Man is clearly much heavier than anything that they did. Even after that, they never did anything as heavy as Dog Man. But that album is just one of those diamonds in the 90s, that came out and people really love it or they don't know it. And you know what? People will be listening to this. There will be people who be going yeah, whatever. A couple of old guys, I'll give it a listen. And they'll put it on and go, oh no, fuck me, right? Okay, that is heavy. Heavy's heavy. Doesn't matter what fucking year it came out. Heavy's heavy.
And it sounded great back in the day, and it still sounds great.
Hell yeah!
You crank that on your stereo, and the fucking neighbors are not happy.
Yeah.
Give me $1 or give me 50 cents. Oh wow, I'm gonna have to play that. I'll have to play that when I get off here. But it's amazing as well the way it comes in. Boom! It's straight in.
That's Brendan O'Brien on the production on that one.
Which by the way, I was watching a Lost in Vegas. They do King's X Dogman.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
And it totally catches them because it starts it starts with just like it's straight in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're both like, yeah, right. We must have missed the beginning of this. We must have, and they get it to the back and it starts again and they go, oh no, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah. No. Well, there you go. King's X Tangent. I'm glad you brought that up, and I will. I'll be checking dUg's work out.
Yeah. It's got some really good shit on it, and they're apparently they are already finished a new King's X album, but I think that the whole COVID thing and the fact that there's not a lot of money in it anymore for them, things are kind of on hold right now. But yeah, I'm always looking forward to that. So
yeah, cool, man. Cool. Well,
over to you.
Well, the next album that I'm going to mention, do you know what? I'm not going to do a full review.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be coming out. It comes out on the 19th of November, and the album is Exodus Persona Non Grata.
Yeah.
Now, I have I've had this for about a week, but I've also had a bit of a weird week given everything that's going on down my end at the moment. So basically, I've only listened to it 2 or 3 times. The first time I listened to it, I was like, And the second time I listened to it, I went, And the third time I listened to it, I went, And basically, that's my review.
That seems positive, considering that the 2 songs they've released are both kind of underwhelming to me.
Let's say they're a little generic. It's generic Exodus, but there is a song. There is a song on the new Exodus album, and I want to get this absolutely right because I keep saying it wrong.
And no, I haven't heard it because Howard was a responsible person and didn't illegally share music with me. So I got to wait like everybody else.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get the carcass early.
If any record labels, hey, we're not. If any record labels are out there or distributors, wait, what's that? How do you say that?
Distributors.
oldheadpodcast@gmail.com. Send me your shit and I will review it.
There you go, man. But don't worry, I will get that sorted for you. So anyway, the song is called Lunatic Liar, and it's 7 minutes and 59 seconds, which is a fucking long time for an Exodus song.
Is it worth the 7 minutes? That's all I want to know.
For me, hell yeah.
Awesome.
For me, okay. Definitely. So that's a little tease. I'm being a little tease, but there you go. That's what I am.
I'm sure that on the next episode we do, once I've fully, absorbed that album, I'll have some thoughts on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you got 2 weeks. But no, I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
Cool.
And so now for the unexpected album.
All right.
So,
and this is a brand spanking new one.
Yes, it is.
All right.
It is
cool.
A track of which opens this month's Radio Bollocks that you haven't had a chance to listen to yet.
Okay.
So the band, amazingly, is Whitechapel.
Okay. All right.
And the album is their new album, Kin. And I was online and I had a King Buffalo moment. Okay. Whereas I was like, I saw the album sleeve and then I saw it was a Whitechapel album. And I was like, that's not a metal album sleeve. That's not. I don't. Why am I calling it an album sleeve? You old cunt. Right. The album artwork. Right. I just thought that's just not a metal album cover. And straight away, I'm thinking, right, okay, this could be interesting. And this is Whitechapel, and I was like, I can't remember the last time I listened. I tried a little bit of Whitechapel, didn't really like it. I'll try again, whatever. And I put the first song on, and I got a preview, and it was like, you know, fucking jangly guitar, like almost like folk music. And I was like, this must be a different Whitechapel. So I clicked the second track, and it was just like, and I was like, all right, okay, no, this is Whitechapel, right? Okay, wow. And I just listened to a minute of the first 3 songs, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to have this. I'm gonna have to have this.
Interesting.
So bought it, downloaded the whole thing, and the first I've listened to it once all the way through, and then I've listened to bits and pieces. First time I listened to it, towards the end, it got a little generic, and it wasn't as experimental as it was up top.
Yeah.
But the first, probably about the first 4 or 5 songs, I was just like, yeah, I'm in. I'm in. And those later songs may well grow on me. It's just that the others got me first. But the thing that stands out is that, well, just on the one track that you're going to hear on Radio Bollocks, which is it's the opening track of the album. And I mean, you know, there's 3 or 4 genres in that song. And I was just really surprised because when he's doing the gruff vocals, he's not doing Cookie Monster vocals. You know, he's not doing that. He's you know, it's more so it's a rough vocal. Do you know what I mean? It's a instead of a, you know, it's a
does he do the vomiting thing that so many?
No,
it seems like every other album I click on in the metal genre, the guy's like, and I'm just like, okay, another one of you. Okay.
Yeah. No, mind you, anything's better than pig squealing, man. That's the pig squeal is terrible. But I tell you what, when he busts out the clean vocals, Jesus Christ, this guy can sing. He has some pipes on him. As a fellow vocalist, I was listening to, and I was like fucking swelling with pride. It was like, dude, yes, you fucking do this, mate. You fucking do this. Yeah, phenomenal vocal performance.
That's great. I honestly, I haven't listened to Whitechapel in many years because of the same thing, where everything I heard by them, I was like, this isn't for me. So yeah. I actually saw the album cover and went, that looks interesting, but I was like, oh, it's Whitechapel. So never mind.
And I was looking for something else, and I think it just caught my. Now I was looking for something else that I couldn't find. Now I don't know if your brain's like mine, but my brain goes into right. But if I can't find that, I'll fucking find something. and so I was in that kind of mood where I was like, right, okay. And I mean, I was inspired. It's like, it's a long time since I heard something that made me really go, whoa, right, okay, that stopped me in my tracks. Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm not 15. I'm going, I think I'm my new favorite band. Yeah. But it stopped me in my tracks and made me go like, oh, right, okay, this needs some cogitating over. You know, this is not just listening. I need to really spend some time with this, which I'm going to be doing over the next number of days, because tomorrow I've got a little procedure, so I'm going to be at home for a few days.
It's a sex change procedure.
It's actually a penis reduction.
I knew it.
It's all very well having a big dick, but carrying this massive thing around has just weighed me down too long. And then when the procedure is over, there'll be nothing of him left. That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
That was I was in a roundabout way calling you a dick.
Yeah, oh no, I absolutely got that, man. I absolutely got that, man. But don't you worry. It's actually a hernia, which basically means it. Basically, at the moment, it looks like I've got 3 testicles. So one of them's got to go. But don't worry, I still have balls. So yeah. Anyway, tangent over. Whitechapel. Kin, let me know what you think of it.
We'll do
on the next episode. And hey, all of you lovers and all you haters. And all of you others who don't give a fuck, put in
everybody all around the
world. Please, in the comments, tell us what you think. I mean, I don't know why people say tell us I don't know why I did that, because like anybody has waited to be asked by somebody to know. Oh, is it okay to comment? Oh, I'll comment then. It's like
I still do it. I encourage them, because otherwise I put up videos and I'm like, why do I even bother? Like nobody's saying a fucking word.
Yeah, you bastards. Put some comments down there so your man here gets some love. Come on.
Yeah.
Dear me. Honestly.
So is that new album reviews? That puts a pin in it or a cap on it?
That puts a pin, a cap. We are tailing that off. That is the end of the meeting. That is the end of the new albums meeting. We can now start. Yeah. We can now start the classic album.
And this time, as normally, it was 4 albums that Howard chose and put them up on his Patreon.
It was, and I'm actually just going to go through here, and
because there was one that I was sure was going to win.
Well, this is the interesting thing, and this is you crazy cats on Patreon. On my Patreon are just very unpredictable. So if you are listening to this and you are also unpredictable, why don't you sign up at patreon.com, where you can socialize with lots of other fellow unpredictable people. Right, I'm trying to find it. Where are we? Here we go. So the albums that were up for review were, this is all going to be ruined, by the way, because in the introduction we'll both put what the classic album that's being reviewed is.
Yeah.
So
but it's interesting. It's interesting what it beat out.
So Cuatro got 36% of the vote. Slayer, Rain and Blood got 27% of the vote. Dark Angel, Times Does Not Heal, got 27% of the vote. And Death Spiritual Healing got a dismal single figures, 9%. But yes, you heard it right. The winner by 6%. Some would say that Slayer and Dark Angel voters kind of cut their own throats there and handed Flotsam the victory. But hey, Flots will take it anyway. Flotsam and Jetsam, Cuatro, was voted by my lovely Patreon listeners as a classic album to review. And I can say,
if I had voted,
brilliant.
If I had voted, that would have been my choice out of those 4.
I'm impressed you didn't.
And because I'm not part of the vote. I do the I'm going to leave it to the actual Patreons who aren't part of this episode. But as I normally do, I don't have a vinyl of this, but I do have a cassette.
Right. Well, okay. Now I was organized. I did tell you this. I was organized, but then I wasn't organized. So hang on.
Okay.
I'm just going to get my my CD to show off.
Let's look at it.
And there is a reason I'm doing this. So do bear with me. Aha, there we are. Right, okay.
You guys right there? Huh?
Oh, nice.
I would own this on vinyl, but it is fucking expensive to find out there because they pressed one version of it in Germany, I believe, on vinyl. And that's it. And I remember like months and months ago, some guy on Discogs put it up for $80 and I snatched it up. And then he sends me a message and says, "Oh, I actually don't have that one. I apologize." And he refunded me the money. And guess what? It showed up again for $500.
Oh, no. So was it the same guy selling it for $500?
Yeah, same guy. But somebody bought it though. Like it disappeared from the storefront. So I'm assuming somebody bought it. Like I'll probably fork over. My cap is like 150. I think, for this one. But I love this album, so let's jump into it.
Well, here's my CD.
Hey.
Now the CD is not the original. I did have the original CD, but this is the Metal Mind Productions. This is the reissue. So I've got bonus tracks on here of Date with Hate, Wading Through Darkness radio edit, Wading Through Darkness industrial mix, Cradle Me Now edited version, and Wading Through the Darkness video. That's right. It's an interactive CD.
Hey.
It's also remastered, and it is also the gold CD. It's the gold disc. I don't know if you can see that that's gold there, but it is actually gold.
Nice.
Actually,
like, now that I didn't grab it, so I'm not going to make everybody wait now, but I actually have a promotional 7-inch that's red, and it has Swatting It Flies on one side, and the Date with whatever, what's the name of that first?
Date with Hate.
Date with Hate is on the other side of that. So that's pretty sweet.
Well, also, there's sleeve notes on the inside of the CD.
Nice.
And this is from Jason B. Ward and Eric A.K. talking about the album. Now, this is something that will blow people away. But this is Eric A.K. saying, our fourth record, hence the name, our introduction to Neil Kiernan, and the first time I actually tried singing metal from the gut instead of the throat. In other words, properly. I feel like we grew up so much musically on this album. Braverman and I were making a real professional stab at lyric writing. That's Eric Braverman, who was like the sixth member, and doing a pretty good job at it. The boys in the band were writing like never before, and we had a polished producer who'd worked with Queen, Hall & Oates, and because of that, we went with him. Now, this is the bit that I love. We had a song written by Chris Cornell, Dave Ellefson, and our fans. Another step up the ladder of musical acceptance. Thanks to MCA, we recorded this one in Burbank, and we had way too much fun. So yes, there is a song on here that has writing credits from Dave Ellefson and Chris Cornell.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Kiernan. What a production.
Yeah.
What a production. Because we were talking last time about When the Storm Came Down, which is a phenomenal album with amazing songs, and unfortunately let down by a production that is just unexplainable. It's a bit poor.
Yeah.
This, however, God, I mean, if they'd have, if When the Storm Comes Down had this production, God knows where their career would have gone.
I mean, to be honest, this album should have made their career completely blow up.
Good call. Yeah.
But the production, it's one of those things. I always say that there's those albums that are so well produced that if you crank it up really loud, it still sounds really good. Because there's a lot of albums that they're not great, but once you turn them up really loud, all of a sudden, like, it hurts your ears, like little aspects of it. But this one's not like that at all. Like it's one of those albums from the 90s that just, like, they got it completely right with how it sounds.
Yeah. And the I mean, there's a notable lack of kind of thrash, of pace. There's a definite dial down on that, and that's kind of understandable because we're into the 90s now.
It was 93, right? When this came out?
And they're on a major
92.
label. So they're on a major label. I mean, so that's to be understood. But I think we've made this point, the two of us, before, which is I think they were just unlucky. They just fell between that gap. It was like not thrashy enough for thrash fans, too heavy for Queensryche fans, and because Queensryche at the time were a metal band with a great singer who were having massive success, but Flotsam and Jetsam was just that little bit heavier, and that meant absolutely no chance of that.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because, well, the greatest thrash metal single ever written, track 6, Dial 00, which is about a secret agent, 00, if you like. The name's Bond. Brooke Bond. So it's incredible. I mean, go on, you talk about it. I'll shut up.
This is a really important album for me because it came out. I was 15 years old when this one came out, and I knew of Flotsam and Jetsam, but I hadn't fully gotten into them yet. And this was the album that I heard, and it's one of those albums that just stayed with me throughout the rest of my life, where I put it on and I'm like, almost 30 years later, I'm like, it still sounds so good. And the songs, there's it's a very dynamic album because you don't just get the one style of song. Like they really branched out, and it's all really well written stuff and really well performed. All of it. And I just remember I saw the video for Wading Through the Darkness on Headbangers Ball.
And actually put a link somewhere for people to go and see that.
Okay.
Because that's something you've got to see.
Yeah, it's a great video. The interesting thing about it is that my older brother worked at a record/video store in my neighborhood, and he brought home a promotional VHS of the Wading Through the Darkness video. And on the video, and I didn't know this until I just got that, it gives you instructions for raising and lowering the tint on your television. Because if you lower it all the way down, you see one video. And then if you raise it all the way up, you see different stuff in the video.
Oh, cool.
Like, that's insane. So now if you go watch it on YouTube, you can kind of see it where there's images kind of underneath that come in and go out. And I was just like, that's fucking great. And so at the time, the strength of that kind of idea, the strength of this album, following, like, this is 92 into 93. So Metallica, the Black Album, is fucking huge. So I hear this and I go, well, yeah, of course this is going to be as big as that. Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
And then for some reason, like, I think I was the only person I knew that was really into this record. And they had videos come out, and then all of a sudden they didn't get played anymore. It was like it's like the album cycle just like came and went, and then that was it. But it's so sad when it comes to albums like this, because they, maybe they wouldn't have gotten Metallica big, but they should have at least been Anthrax big or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, they should have crossed over to a lot more people than they did. And I don't know if that was the fault of their record label, because I didn't see, it was just Headbangers Ball. Like, I didn't see any other push for this band.
To be honest, I think, like, to explain why some bands don't take off, why some albums don't take, it's always been impossible. Yeah, because you can have the greatest publicity in the world, you can have a great album, but if the public doesn't go for it, if the fans don't go for it for whatever reason, and you will never know, you'll have to go around and ask every one of them to try and get any kind of idea why that is. Yeah. And now with the with the multi-million amount of news outlets there are, it's easy for albums to slip through the cracks now. Yeah. Way easier, but what I'm saying is it's always happened. It's just a lot easier for it to happen now. But even back then, it's like, I don't know. Well, like I said to you, is it, you've proffered the idea there that maybe it's the record label, and I'm saying that, and you might be right. There wasn't enough press, there wasn't enough videos, but they were on the Headbangers Ball. I mean, that's like, well, if you've got rotation on MTV, and this is, I'm sure, how your major label MCA looks at it, who don't know what the fuck they're doing with metal anyway. So they've got some MCA, got a metal band, get Neil Kernan, he's good. Here's a budget, great, sounds great. What do you do now? Make some videos, put them on at MTV, put them on Headbangers Ball. They get rotation. Then we'll know if we're cooking with gas. Because if they've got rotation on Headbangers Ball, if it's still not happening after that, get these guys out of the building. Yeah. Yeah. And I can only assume that people just didn't pick up on it. And it's maybe, it's not the label's fault. It's not the band's fault. It's not the producer's fault. It's music's fault, where music was at the time. it's just, yeah, it's like, it's not happening for Flotsam and Jetsam.
To me, when this came out, like it fit in really nicely with a lot of things I was listening to that all were metal or metal adjacent. I mean, like, Alice in Chains' Dirt was around the same time. And I wouldn't say this album is that far away from it. In certain aspects it is. But when you're talking about music that's heavy, melodic, dark at times, it all kind of existed. And so as a fan, I'm always trying to wrap my head around, like, why is it,
you see, the thing is, you've got Alice in Chains here, and then you got Flotsam and Jetsam here, and I don't think there's a crossover point.
I mean, I was the crossover point,
maybe But it is, because the thing is, it's like, you look at Alice in Chains, and I'm thinking lots of vocal harmonies, laid back drawl, kind of almost a stoner rock vibe. That's not this. This is still coming from that school of thrash. This is polished. Yeah, this is polished. Whereas, like, Dirt sounds like the best quality demo you've ever heard. This sounds like a fucking expensive album produced by a top producer. And maybe it was too clean. Maybe it was just too perfect for the time, and people wanted a bit more of a checky shirt, than they did a dapper tux. I was just going through the song titles here, right? Okay. Yeah. Right. Now, we love this album, right? Natural Enemies. It's in there.
Great opener. Okay? Great opener.
Yeah. Yeah. Swatting at Flies. What a song.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it's in your head. The message. Can you get? Yeah. Okay. Cradle me now. Yeah. Great. Wading through the darkness. They're all dial 00. Never to reveal. Forget about heaven. It's like everything, all of every single song. Hypodermic Midnight Snack. There has never been a better song title. Are You Willing? That, I love that. It's such a weird kind of like a vocal. Hey guys, let's have a vocal and bass intro. Okay.
And you got. I always loved Eric AK's, like, he would randomly do little, would you call them accents or flourishes or little things he would put on his voice?
Yes.
Or it was either at the end of a line, or he would just randomly do it. And he did it in the "Are you will it?" And he goes, ah! Like, he does like a little high pitch thing. And I'm always like, I love that he does that shit, because it's because he's such a magnificent singer that he can just do anything he wants with his voice, and it kind of just comes across as awesome.
Yeah, it's like it's mad, and only he can do it, and only he knows what he is doing there. But just going through all of those songs there, and I know it sounds like such a cliche, but it's not just that there's not a weak song on it, it's that every song is strong. And normally, I'm one for having one or two songs that are not as strong on an album, because it makes it feel even stronger. But that's because there is always going to be something weaker, unless you put something like this together, which has no weaknesses. If this was metal, I would put it, literally metal, I would put it in any stress test, and it would survive. And it survived 3 decades, and it still sounds as good as it did when it came out.
And not just that, it has a quality that I always look for in albums, and unfortunately don't get a lot these days, which is you go to one song and it doesn't sound like another song.
Yes.
But they do, and they do it without making it seem like they're just grasping at whatever kind of style they want to do. It's a cohesive album, but they took their time in making these songs that give you different sort of angles of what they were going for. And so it's all those things that you said, and the fact that, like, the album doesn't ever get stale or kind of rest on one sort of idea. And it's just like, when it comes to albums, like, Cuatro's a great example of what I would like bands to do. Just,
Yeah.
Put some time and effort into it, and be cognizant of the fact that you don't need to just sound like one thing all the time.
Well, I had it in my car as a constant play a while back, and this is going back a few years. And I had Mark staying with me. We were rehearsing at the time, and every time we got in the car after that, he'd be like, "Have you got Flotsam and Jetsam?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Put it on," and I put it on, and the thing is, though, is like, he was like, "This sounds fucking great." Like, he wanted to know all about it. How old is it? And all the rest of it. It's like, fucking hell, this is ridiculous. Also, I think this is, for me, the last album of the great lineup.
Oh, you didn't like the one after this?
No, I like Dirt, but I think there's a lineup change.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But I think there was one on this one. Isn't there a different bass player on this one?
It's different, but yeah, it doesn't count, mate. But there's there's Kelly Smith is playing on this, and he's fucking amazing. I mean, I got to play with Flotsam and Jetsam, like, when I was a kid. We supported them at the Astoria. Great dudes, and Kelly Smith played the whole gig in bare feet, and Ramsey was just like stood watching him, going, "How the fuck is he doing that? That is just absolutely ridiculous." Jason had left. Troy Gregory was on bass, so he did a bit of a bass solo as well, and it was awesome. Anyway, that's my Flot story. But look, I've just wanted to point out that they did the lyric book inside the limited edition CD. Sorry if you listen to the podcast, by the way.
Sweet, yeah.
But and that's the original. That is the original that used to be in the original CD. They produced it absolutely perfectly, and it is actually like a digipack as well. It is so fucking cool, that, mate. Even you might like that CD.
Yeah. I'm holding out for that vinyl reissue. Somebody's got to do it.
Well, if you're listening to this and you have a copy of Cuatro by Flotsam and Jetsam on vinyl, or somebody who has a copy of Flotsam and Jetsam Cuatro on vinyl, send it to me. Do whatever you like with it. Give it to him. Come on, you can tell he wants it, and you can get $150 for it, for fuck's sake. Why wouldn't you?
Or if anyone has the masters for this album, who has the masters for this album? Let's do a reissue of it. I'm pretty sure all like the story goes with so many major labels, they don't give two fucks about this.
Did you see what happened within the last month?
No.
Dirt, Flotsam and Jetsam, Dirt, the album after this.
Oh, Drift.
Sorry, Drift. God, yeah. I'm getting my Alice in Chains and my Flots confused.
One word starts with a D.
Yeah, Drift became available on all digital platforms. In the last month. It's like, what?
That's a great album too. That's for a different episode.
Yeah, no, but it is a great album.
Yeah,
it is. What's the song on it? What is the song on Drift? We're going to do it again. What's the song on Drift that finishes? Smoked Out. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Insane vocals. Vocals. And it's, yeah. We honestly, we're going to do it again, aren't we? We're going to end up reviewing that album as well.
We're going to end up being every week, no matter what we talk about, we're going to sneak in a Flotsam and Jetsam album. I'm up for that.
I'm up for that. But for those of you that are wondering, look, just give it a whirl. It's not a thrash metal album. But there are definite overtones of thrash.
It's got a few songs that have thrash-y parts,
Yeah, absolutely. And if you like bands like fucking Queensryche and stuff like that, this is one of the great undiscovered, metal masterworks of the 90s. And you're a dick for not owning it, whoever you are.
I agree with all of those words. Cool. Well,
good.
Well, that wraps it up,
doesn't it?
This was a jam-packed episode.
It was, wasn't it? I think we've also like, there's green shoots of ideas and future episodes to come as well. I think that's coming out of that.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And as usual, what is it? Patreon.com/Howard W. Howard W. Howard H. Smith.
Howard W.
I'm gonna start calling you W. All right.
Hey there, W.
I don't even know where the W came from.
I've got no idea, man. This is
That's
absolutely ridiculous.
You know, the guy that sang for Acid Rain, W.
Yeah, this has turned into an episode of the Dukes of Hazzard, man.
But go there, because the next month I'll be submitting my 4 choices.
Yes,
and I've thought about, you know, including some that didn't win the time before, but I actually have an idea of a theme.
Ooh.
I'm going to do a theme where 4 albums are connected in some sort of way, and then let the Patreon subscribers, decide
figure it out.
To go.
Yeah, I know. I like that.
Because I figured that would be a way for us to even just talk about all 4 of them anyway, because they'll be related in some way, but we'll have the one that we focus on.
Yes. Yeah.
Just an idea. Yeah. You know, I always got these ideas in my head, and then, you know, some of them, I lose them when I go to sleep.
Well, you know me, mate. I lose them halfway through I'm saying them. Look, this has been a blast. Look, listeners, viewers, thanks for your support. Keep listening. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let us know. You know,
everyone.
Let us know. See you later.